Every year I like to build set pieces for our vacation Bible school at church. I've built everything from columns to a whole cave system with stalactites and stalagmites to even a giant stove one year. But this year's theme centers around a tropical island, so no large appliances are needed. But we do need a tiki hut and some accessories. So let's get started building those. To make bamboo, I picked up some cardboard carpet tubes from my local carpet store. These are 12 feet long, so we need to cut them into more manageable pieces. I'm ripping a couple of pieces of 2x4 in half to act as a skeleton inside the horizontal members of the tiki hut. This will add some structural rigidity. It will also help tie the hut together so that it doesn't fall over. In order to insert the 2x into the tubes, I have to drill some holes through the cardboard at the top. This Forstner bit is slightly larger than the 2x that I cut. With the hole drilled, you can see how the 2x4 inner skeleton passes through the upright. Here it is all assembled with all 4 legs and all 4 horizontal skeletal pieces. Now to slide some more tubes over the horizontals so that it looks like bamboo. Then a few short end pieces will complete the illusion. We'll trim these to length later. Here you get a general idea of how it all lays out. And here's another view. When you look at a piece of bamboo, it doesn't look like a hollow tube. I've got to fill the ends with some blocks. So here I'm taking 4 pieces of scrap plywood, screwing them together, and I'm drawing a circle the diameter of the inside of the tube. And then over here on the bandsaw, I'm cutting it out, so I'm cutting 4 at one time. And with a little glue and a tap of a hammer, we've plugged the end of our bamboo. Bamboo has a segmented look, so to recreate these rings, I've cut some thin strips of the same carpet tube. Using carpenter's glue, I'm just adhering them around the bamboo at random places. Then I'll use a little painter's tape to hold it while the glue dries. This fella here, who I can only assume is Santa Claus based on his red shirt, his white beard, and his portly build, was nice enough to give me a hand in the gluing up of the segments. Now let's work on the roof structure. This is an upright that will hold the ridge beam. I've traced the radius of the tube on the bottom of the upright, and now using the bandsaw, I'm cutting it out to make a sort of saddle so that it'll sit down on our crosspiece. Here's what it looks like. Now we're using a screw into the inner 2x4 skeleton to hold it on. We'll do the same on the other side. And saddles on the top except the ridge beam as well. Now we need to make some roof rafters. I'm cutting them all to rough length, and then we'll miter the ends and cut them to final length once we get them up there and space them right. I decided to attach opposing roof rafters together with a piece of nylon strap. This way I don't have to make any complicated joints where they meet the ridge beam, making for easy disassembly and transport to the church. Here you see I've cut them to the final length with a miter on the tail end of them. The way these work is the strap drapes over the ridge beam and the miters line up on the edges of the cross pieces. I actually ended up making my ridge beam longer than this one. Here you can see the result of that. By making the ridge beam longer, I can move the last set of roof rafters on each end out past the posts so that we had an overhang on the end as well. And now for a little paint. I'm using a latex semi-gloss and applying it with a cheap bristle brush. The color I picked out was sort of a tan yellowish color. I thought it looked like bamboo. In all honesty, Mrs. Tinkerer picked it out. She's better at that. Quite by accident, I discovered a technique where if I don't paint it all the way solid and let some of the cardboard show through, it really adds some texture and depth to it, making it to me look like real bamboo. You be the judge. I think it's very bamboo-y. Let's put the tiki hut aside for a second and make another prop. This whole tropical theme centers around a shipwreck, so I thought it might look cool to have a wooden crate like it washed up on shore from the wreck. After setting the stop up on my miter saw, I'm just cutting 1x, all to 4 foot long. And then I'm cutting some short pieces of 1x4 for strapping to go on the inside of the crate. And I'll use an 1.25 inch staple to hold everything together. Spacing the first piece of strapping 3/4 inch from the edge, I'm going to staple it to all of the boards. And then we'll do the same on the other end. And one more in the middle. And this makes one side of our crate. Then we do the whole thing over again to make the other side of the crate. The ends are made the same way, but they're just shorter. Now for a little assembly. Using the same staples, we're going to tack it together on the corners. Now you can see why we held the strapping back 3/4 inch from the edge of the board. That allows the end of the box to tuck nicely in and fit perfectly aligned with the edge. To make sure the box is square, we're going to measure the diagonals. When they read the same, that means it's square. And to keep it square, we've cut some short pieces of blocking to go inside. Now we've flipped the box over and we're working on the lid. The lid is made with boards of varying widths. Once we get everything aligned, we'll tack these down with staples as well. If I had to do it again, I would have made sure that the boards were more flush with the edges instead of overhanging like they are, because it'll make our next step a little bit easier if I did. I'm going to add some strapping to look like it's been crated up. Because the boards overhang a little bit, the strapping doesn't fit exactly flush, but I suppose it's close enough. To add that final bit of realism, I'm just going to pound some nails in the strapping. This is going to be about the last thing we have time for in this video. think we made good progress though. In the next video, we're going to finish the tiki hut by adding some fake palm fronds to the top. We're also going to add a little customization to this box, and we may make one or two more props. I have a few more ideas bouncing around in my head. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll stay tuned for the next one, where you get to see the final payoff of all this work. Thanks for watching.